Longtime Northwoods Unitarian Universalist Church member Kyle Wayland, an age mate of mine, wrote me and said, "Northwoods impacted my life in such a positive way. When I came to Northwoods, I had just moved from Houston and was very upset. When I came to the church, I was immediately taken under the wing of Rosie, Rick, Susie, and others. They taught respect, tolerance, peace, and love. Not to say that I lacked those traits, but the church took the good in me and helped amplify it. For the first time in my life, I was involved in service projects, and I felt like I was making a difference. It was nice to have a real community to grow in, especially during the trying times of high school." As Peter said, my name is Kenny Wiley, and I'm a longtime churchgoer here, a member for, kind of, I guess. And I'm here as a representative for those of us who grew up in this church. Some of you probably remember me and my sisters and Peter and others that are here running around as little kids. So I'd like to begin with a question. How many people in this room found your current religion, Unitarian Universalism or any other, after the age of 18? All right, now this is church. This is not study hall, so, okay, let's try that again. How many of you found your current religion after the age of 18? Yes. All right, sounds like you're pretty happy with it. So, now, is there anyone in here who grew up Unitarian Universalist? Okay. All right, well, we might need to try that one again, too. Is there anyone here who grew up Unitarian Universalist? Thanks, Derek. So that's kind of what I figured. There are definitely more of us here that found this faith than they grew up in it. So, Unitarian Universalism is largely, like I said, made up of people who found us later in life. We've heard the stories, and they are powerful. I have a story that you might not have heard quite as often. At Northwoods, when we dedicate a child, the congregation pledges to work here together to give that child support and a home. I'm reminded of the old African proverb, "It takes a village to raise a child." Suppose that became a Hillary Clinton proverb too, as she really likes to use that one a lot. Many of my friends use school as the barometer for growth and achievement. The first day of kindergarten, the day they learn long division, taking those terrifying steps into high school, prom, college, graduate school. I remember signing up for a Facebook account in the summer of 2007. I just graduated high school, and everyone's pictures online were of graduation. The tears, hugs, the head first plunge into the unknown. Not me. Well, not quite. My life's defining moments thus far paint a little bit of a different picture. In 1996, my mother, Ida Stewart, volunteered to lead the summer religious education program here. All who know her know that sometimes she can be overcome by a wave of creative energy. She decided to direct the mission to Mars and have all of us kids be astronauts sent to find a way to preserve life on Earth. So we spent the summer building a rocket ship up in room 10. We planned everything. We built the ship. We did everything. There had to be a leader, a chief astronaut, if you will. And the group of kids elected me into that role. That moment instilled in me the idea and the power of leadership. There was, however, something a bit dated about my leadership style back in 1996. I'd heard on the playground in our neighborhood that boys were supposed to make fun of girls. Now, I had 2 younger sisters and an older half-sister, 3 wonderful aunts, so I didn't know anything about this, but I was 8, so my friend's rule was law. So next Sunday at Northwoods, I decided to test out my new strategy, and so I ignored any suggestion made by a girl and made fun of them. Those of you that know my parents might think of my dad as the more intense of the two. To you, I can only say that you were not in the car on the ride home that Sunday. My mom took me to Taco Bell that afternoon in what we now know as the Taco Bell intervention. set me straight. She said to me, "Would you ever make fun of me like that? What about all the women at Northwoods that are so helpful to you and our family?" I replied, "But they're not girls." A tilt of her head and a "Are you sure?" was all I needed to know that while kids at school might do such things, at Northwoods and in our family, that's not accepted. That day is but one of many moments I see that help shape who I am today and who I am to come to be. And so many of them happened in connection with Northwoods and this great religion. Northwoods gave me the opportunity to serve as a Unitarian Universalist ambassador of sorts when we visited all those churches in 8th grade. We visited a synagogue, temples, and various Christian churches. Those visits helped us learn about other faiths and reaffirm our own. The church helped me earn the chance to serve as Swoosie Youth Camp Worship Coordinator in 2005, and as co-dean, the director of the whole thing the following year. The list goes on. But this faith has given us far more than a few resume builders. Here we learned that young folks can be teachers as well as students. Every Christmas we rediscovered that each night a child is born is a holy night. Our advisors let us discover through trial and error that failure is a key component of success. It was the Unitarian Universalist Our Whole Lives program that gave us key information about our emotional and physical selves at crucial times. And most importantly, in my view, we learned through our experiences, religious education classes, and in UU that there is so much more to spirituality than church on Sunday morning. I'll say it again, there is so much more to spirituality than church on Sunday morning. Keep that in mind. I'll visit that idea again later. But before we get too carried away, we must remember a few sobering facts. UUA surveys suggest that over 75% of our membership comes from other faiths, and we see that that is true of our church. Statistically, over half of folks who grew up in our faith leave and don't come back for years, if ever. It is true that during the young adult years, which the Unitarian Universalist Association defines as between the ages of 18 and 35, things are in limbo for all of us. Many of us live transient lives. People in my age range go to church less often across the board, but it is particularly rough for Unitarian Universalism. So I speak to you today as an exception, not a rule. As Peter mentioned, I am worship associate at my church in Missouri. I'm involved at the national level in the Young Adult Caucus, and I go to church nearly every Sunday, whether I'm here or in Missouri at school. Most of us don't. Most people my age, we don't go very often. I asked Peter to be the lay leader today for two reasons. One, he's one of my best friends. We grew up here together, played in the former playground out there together, and this is our home. Peter and I sometimes call each other Ross Henry disciples, as he taught most of our RE classes, for those of you who know him. When we were little, our Sundays consisted of RE, hot dogs, and then, if we were at my house, watching my dad scream angrily at the Houston Oilers. The other reason I asked him to join me is because he doesn't go to church regularly now. He's a rising junior at Trinity University, writes and reads feverishly, is warm and kind, but is far from a regular churchgoer in San Antonio or here. I say this not so Reverend Ellen and the Welcome Committee can corner him after the service, but to shed some light on the situation. Some of you may be thinking, if most of the kids growing up are going to leave anyway, what's the point of RE? Is it just a babysitting service? Just something so we can put the kids away? What about UU? Or maybe you're asking, what are we doing wrong? Why aren't more people staying? I'll offer a few thoughts.